Chapter 511 Inquiry. Part 2. Tian Guangming carefully carried the immortal out of the longevity royal court. The entire process went unnoticed. Just as Tian Guangming said, under the long-term stability of the Chongqing royal court, their psychological defenses have been relaxed. In their minds, it was impossible for anyone to dare to break into the eternal life royal court, let alone kidnap someone from it. That's utter nonsense. However, Tian Guangming has now succeeded and even walked out safely, which makes the immortals whose souls have come to the mortal realm very angry. Their eyes are filled with rage, burning fiercely. But that was all he could do. Tian Guangming carried him back to Qiandi money shop without asking for his opinion at all. Inside the Heaven and Earth Bank, Xiandao was looking at the forging mountain range. The netherworld purple mountain had been forged into a long sword that shone with purple light, as dazzling as a piece of crystal. Amethyst sword. This is the name Xiandao gave it. It was once the mountain spirit of Yuming Purple Mountain, and now it is also a sword spirit. It still hasn't changed its appearance. It's a little baby, very cute. Master, please drip a drop of your essence blood, and I will imprint it into the core of the amethyst sword for you. The forging mountain range rumbled. Xiandao immediately forced out a drop of his essence blood, which flew into the forging mountain range. Boom! Within the forging mountain range, raging flames boiled and burned, enveloping Xiandao's essence blood and sending it into the amethyst sword. Click, click, click. Inside the amethyst sword, countless formations and immortal restrictions erupted, devouring Xiandao's essence and blood. Xiandao immediately felt that his heart was connected to the purple crystal sword. The feeling of being connected by blood was very magical, giving Xiandao a faint sense of familiarity. Sword, come. Xiandao said, stretching out his hand with a determined look in his eyes. The raging flames within the forging mountain range were abruptly extinguished, and a dazzling purple light flashed across the sky, revealing a long sword entirely of dark purple. It flew directly into Xiandao's hand. Boom! The amethyst sword's aura instantly overwhelmed the white clouds and mist, the undulating mountains, and the thick fog. The power of the celestial artifact enveloped the area around the Heaven and Earth Bank. Xiandao gripped the sword in one hand, twirled it, and felt the power of the amethyst sword, feeling very satisfied. The amethyst sword is no less powerful than the great wilderness starfall sword, and these two immortal swords are a perfect match for Xiandao, allowing him to use different swords against different enemies. So, are you satisfied? Shao Qi asked with a smile. I'm very satisfied. The amethyst sword is just what I'm looking for, Xiandao said happily. I'm glad you're satisfied. Forging Mountain hasn't forged anything in so many years, but this time they put all their effort into it, and the quality of the amethyst sword is even better than I expected. Shao Qi took the amethyst sword, touched it, and exclaimed in admiration. Xiandao said with satisfaction, I am very satisfied with this 6th mountain range. Next, I will work hard to unlock the 7th mountain peak. Unsealing the 6th mountain peak completely depleted all the resources Xiandao had accumulated, leaving the Heaven and Earth Bank with only some basic treasures. For Xiandao, these basic treasures were merely for maintaining the normal operation of the Heavenly Bank. Therefore, he needs to receive more guests and also handle the backlog of contracts in Kangxianli. Speaking of guests, Tian Guangming has returned with the Chongqing sect. To be precise, it was the Chongqing sect whose soul was possessed. The current Chongqing sect is not the same as before. Bang! Tian Guangming threw the Chongqing gate directly to the ground and said, Master, the person has been brought. It is this immortal who possessed the Chongqing gate, causing your contract to fail. The immortal who had possessed the body of the Chongqing sect looked around in surprise, and when he saw Xiandao, his eyes widened in horror. In his eyes, Xiandao's imposing aura was even more terrifying than that of his teacher. His teacher is a master from the celestial realm. Where is Xiandao? 9 heavens and 10 earths. How is that possible? Who are you? How can you be so unfathomable to me? The immortal asked in terror. Xiandao said coldly, I am the owner of the Heaven and Earth Bank. You have taken over my guest's body. Don't you have an explanation? As for why we can't see through it. In the Heaven and Earth Bank, if Xiandao wanted to be seen through, then anyone could see through him. If he didn't want to be seen through, even the Lord of the Immortal Realm couldn't see through him. It's normal that this immortal can't see through Xiandao. Your guests. The immortal was taken aback and asked in surprise, the longevity sect are your guests? Yes, he signed a contract with my Heaven and Earth Bank and owes me a lot of things. Now that you have possessed him and he is dead, the contract is over. Xiandao looked at the immortal angrily. I can compensate you. The immortal relented. He was currently at his weakest and just wanted to stall the matter. No need, I've already figured out how you want me to compensate you, Xiandao said calmly. What compensation? The immortal suddenly had a bad feeling. Torn apart by 5 horses, skinning and dismembering, enlightenment. Xiandao said several times in a row. Wait a minute, what is enlightenment? The immortal asked, trembling. It's like they'll make an incision on the top of your head and pour mercury in. The mercury will cause your skin and flesh to separate, which will be extremely painful, and you'll experience a chilling sensation, Tian Guangming explained proactively. The immortal fell silent. At this moment, he couldn't help but reflect on his fate. Why was he so unlucky? I can compensate for many things. I am an immortal, from the immortal realm, the immortal said anxiously after a moment of silence. I know, Xiandao said casually. You know. The immortal was dumbfounded. I overheard your conversation with your teacher, Tian Guangming said smugly. The immortal stared dumbfounded at the bright light of the sky. I know you are an immortal, and I also know you came for the key to the immortal sect and the reincarnation of Emperor Gaochen, Xiandao continued. Then you should know that I have many treasures. I can take out many things, as long as you let me go. The immortal defended himself. You were possessed by a soul, so you can't bring anything from the immortal realm with you. You're completely empty now. Do you think I don't know that? Xiandao looked at him coldly. The immortal was speechless. Xiandao was right. He was now empty-handed, except for his natal immortal artifact. Do you recognize this? Xiandao asked casually, taking out a key. This is the key to the immortal sect. The immortal stared wide-eyed at Xiandao in disbelief, as if struck by lightning. Yes, so you don't need to go to Hanuishan or Tianshan to search. The key is in my hands, and you can't take it away, Xiandao said with a slight smile. Who exactly are you? The immortal asked in disbelief after his initial shock. He felt as if he were being manipulated by Xiandao. I am just a person from the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Tell me, where is the reincarnation of the great Emperor Gaochen? Xiandao asked. Xiandao still really wanted Zhong Xiandao to be the reincarnation of Emperor Gaochen. If he could recruit Emperor Gaochen, then after entering the immortal realm, Xiandao would have a subordinate who could rival the top experts of the immortal court. Chapter 512 Imprisoning Zhong 3. Part 3. Xiandao wanted to know the whereabouts of Emperor Gaochen and would try to recruit him if the opportunity arose. But the immortal shook his head. I don't know where Emperor Gaochen is. Tian Guangming frowned and said, You don't know. You didn't know that your teacher told you to go find the great Emperor Gaochen? If you don't know, isn't that like looking for a needle in a haystack? Tian Guangming's questioning made the immortal's eyes widen. He retorted, I didn't know. My teacher asked me to find Emperor Gaochen because once I got the key to the immortal gate, I could attract Emperor Gaochen by opening the gate. Tian Guangming immediately looked at Xiandao. Xiandao looked at the key to the immortal gate in his hand and asked, You mean that if I get the key to the immortal gate and open it, the reincarnation of Emperor Gaochen will appear? Yes, if the reincarnation of Emperor Gaochen wants to enter the immortal realm without being discovered, he must go through the immortal gate. He will definitely be under the surveillance of the immortal court as he undergoes his tribulation and ascends. The immortal nodded. Why is it inevitable that we'll be discovered? Tian Guangming asked, puzzled. Because the reincarnation of Emperor Gaochen carries the destiny of an emperor, he will definitely be discovered if he enters the celestial court, the immortal explained. Therefore, the reincarnation of Emperor Gaochen did not want to be discovered by the celestial court, so he had to enter through the celestial gate. Xiandao understood this principle. Yes, that's why I had to get the key to the immortal sect in advance, the immortal sighed. However, the key to the immortal gate is now in your hands. You can open the immortal gate, and once it is opened, the reincarnation of Emperor Gaochen will surely come, the immortal suggested to Xiandao. Xiandao remained non-committal, calmly looking at him, and asked, Emperor Gaochen has a noble status and outstanding strength in the celestial court, so why did he reincarnate in the 9 heavens and 10 earths? Shaoqi also looked at the immortal with curiosity, really wanting to know. Emperor Gaochen, one of the 4 great emperors of the immortal realm, is an absolute top-tier expert. Such a person, reincarnated and reborn, must have experienced something. Tian Guangming listened to the gossip with amusement. The immortal shook his head and said, I don't know the specifics either. All I know is that it happened 1,000 years ago, before I was even born. I only heard that Emperor Gaochen and the emperor had a very unpleasant falling out, and in the end, Emperor Gaochen fought the emperor and was defeated, his body shattered, with only a wisp of his true spirit escaping to the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Emperor Gaochen was defeated in battle against the emperor, and then a wisp of his remnant soul escaped to the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Xiandao asked, how true is this matter? The immortal shrugged and said, I don't know how true it is, but the name of Emperor Gaochen is now a taboo in the celestial court. Nobody mentions it. My teacher is a member of the celestial court's enforcement team, and he wanted to kill Emperor Gaochen. Is your teacher a member of the celestial court's enforcement team? Xiandao raised an eyebrow. Yes, I gave him many treasures before he became my disciple, but he didn't teach me properly. He just used me all along, and he made me call him teacher, not master. The immortal sighed, feeling disappointed. How can your teacher be so sure that he could kill the reincarnation of Emperor Gaochen? Xiandao continued to ask. Because he has prepared a large force. As long as I open the immortal gate, they can descend to the mortal realm, set up a grand array of stars, and kill the reincarnation of Emperor Gaochen. The immortal revealed what he knew without hesitation. He's in a bad situation now. If he doesn't speak out, or if he lies, he'll be in trouble if Xiandao gets angry. Therefore, he chose to be completely open and honest, and his attitude was extremely cooperative. Xiandao thought for a moment and said, You're quite honest. Tell me, how do you want to die? The immortal shuddered and shouted, I've cooperated with you so much, don't die. Are there any other options? The immortal didn't want to die. Back in the immortal realm, he was a promising genius. Even if he couldn't go back, he could still live a carefree life by cultivating diligently in the 9 heavens and 10 earths. That's why he didn't want to die. Xiandao thought for a moment and said, Then I'll give you a choice to live. Okay. The immortal's eyes lit up, and he was extremely grateful. Hand over your soul core to me, and from today onwards, you will be my prisoner, Xiandao said calmly. This. The immortal looked at Xiandao with a complicated expression. What kind of choice was this? It was either death or imprisonment. Then die. Xiandao took the purple crystal sword from Shaoqi's hand, and the long sword flashed across the air, its chilling sword energy directly piercing the immortal's neck. I choose the second one. With my master above me, please take me as your slave. I am willing to offer my whole being, even as long as you are happy. Just please don't imprison me. The immortal shouted, then lowered his head and, in a flash, raised his buttocks. He was prepared to sacrifice himself. Xiandao's face darkened, and he said irritably, Who wants your body? I won't take you as a slave. Hand over your soul core and obediently become a prisoner. Otherwise, I'll crush your soul core and drive you insane. Okay. The immortal was too frightened to speak and offered up his soul core. Li Xiandao put away the soul core and asked, "What's your name?" Li Xiandao had never known the name of this immortal from beginning to end. Now that the hidden danger had been resolved, it was time to find out. "Zhong-san," the immortal whispered. "Such a common name?" Tian Guangming asked in surprise. "My parents named me that. They weren't very educated, so they just followed the order of my birth. The eldest is Xiangde, the second is Xiang-er, I'm Zhong-san, and there's Zhong-si, Zhong-wu, and so on." Zhong-san said helplessly. "You have quite a lot of family members," Tian Guangming chuckled. "They're all gone. On the path of cultivation, there's only a pile of withered bones. I'm 250 years old this year, and they've long since turned into withered bones," Zhong-san sighed. "That's quite tragic," Tian Guangming said empathetically, as he was also an orphan with no relatives. Zhong-san and Tian Guangming began discussing these matters in front of Li Xiandao, becoming sentimental. Li Xiandao frowned and said calmly, "Tian Guangming, if you want to talk, then continue. From now on, imprison Zhong-san in the Qiandi money house and do not allow him to leave. You don't need to worry about anything else." "Yes, master." Tian Guangming nodded. "Take him away." Li Xiandao waved his hand. Tian Guangming immediately took Zhong-san away. Zhong-san honestly told him what he knew, and Li Xiandao did not mistreat him. He was imprisoned in the entire Qiandi money house, and apart from not being able to leave, he had no other restrictions. Tian Guangming took Zhong-san away. It seemed that since they were both alone, Tian Guangming built a house next to his own house and let Zhong-san live there. "You can stay here. I carried you in. It's fate that you're staying on the edge of my house," Tian Guangming said. "Who exactly is your master? And where is this place?" "I can't sense the immortal realm anymore," Zhong-san asked curiously. "My master is the greatest, the most powerful, and the best person in the world. You'll know once you get to know him. As for why this place can't connect to the immortal realm, that's normal, because this is the headquarters of the Heavenly Bank," Tian Guangming said proudly. Chapter 513 Oching reappears. Part 4. Chapter 531 Oching reappears. Li Xiandao had no worries whatsoever about imprisoning the immortals from the celestial realm. On the contrary, he now knows that there are still many people in the immortal realm who are obsessed with the 9 heavens and 10 earths and always want to obtain the key to the immortal gate. Playing with the key to the immortal sect, Li Xiandao put the purple crystal sword into his body and nurtured it in his sea of consciousness, while nurturing the great wilderness starfall in his dantian. They did not interfere with each other, which was quite good. "I reckon many immortals will descend to earth to obtain this," Xiaoqi said. Li Xiandao turned the key and said, "The immortal gate will be opened, but definitely not now." Xiaoqi also agreed with Li Xiandao's words. The gates to immortality have been closed, making it very difficult for people in the 9 heavens and 10 earths to ascend to immortality. Since the closure of the immortal gate, very few have ascended to immortality, and all of them have been those who suppressed their contemporaries and traversed the past and present. Even so, many will fail, die, and wait in despair for death. With the immortal gate closed, the path to the top has narrowed, and Li Xiandao must open the immortal gate. The 9 heavens and 10 earths are now far inferior to the immortal realm. To permanently close the immortal gate is tantamount to extinguishing the last glimmer of hope for the 9 heavens and 10 earths. The reason why the Elder of Tianqi and the others closed the immortal gate was because the immortal realm was too bullying and oppressing the 9 heavens and 10 earths, so they severed the connection between the immortal realm and the 9 heavens and 10 earths. "If we can't target the immortal realm, then we won't contact you anymore. We'll develop our own path." This was a choice made out of necessity. Li Xiandao looked at the key to the immortal sect and said in a deep voice, "It's a pity I'm not the old man of Tianqi. The old man of Tianqi is very powerful, but this power is only within the 9 heavens and 10 earths. He is not powerful in the immortal realm, so he cannot change the immortal realm's attitude towards the 9 heavens and 10 earths. However, Li Xiandao was destined to ascend to the immortal realm, so this was not a problem for him. If I can open the gates to the immortal realm, I can prevent the immortals from descending to the mortal world and interfering in the affairs of the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Li Xiandao stared intently at the key to the immortal sect. Just then, Xiaoqi smiled and said happily, "We have a guest." Li Xiandao put away the key to the immortal sect and asked, "What is the background of this new guest?" "An old acquaintance of yours," Xiaoqi said crisply, her eyes bright. Li Xiandao shook his head, disbelieving Xiaoqi, and said, "I've only been in Songqian for a few days, and I don't know anyone here. The Chongqing sect was my first guest, but they were possessed. What old acquaintances do I have left? Are you sure?" Xiaoqi looked at Li Xian with a half-smile. "I'm sure." Li Xiandao nodded firmly. "Then let me ask you, do you still remember the first few customers you met when you took over Tiandi Money House?" Xiaoqi asked. Li Xiandao laughed and said, "These things only happened a few years ago, so of course I remember them." "Tell me," Xiaoqi said, intending to test Li Xiandao. "The first guest was the patriarch of the Li family." Li Xiandao remembered it vividly. "The second guest is Miss Oching." Li Xiandao couldn't forget her either. Miss Oching was a powerful person who failed to transcend the tribulation and traded 100 years of her lifespan with Li Xiandao. It's only been a few years. How could Li Xiandao forget? Etc. Li Xiandao suddenly woke up, looked at Xiaoqi, and slowly said, "This old friend you're talking about, could it be Miss Oching?" Oching, a girl who cultivated to the realm of ascension in 3,000 years. That girl, Oching, who vowed to cleave through eternity. The girl named Oching who said she would let the people of the immortal realm know the power of the 9 heavens and 10 earths. After the transaction was completed that year, Miss Oching appeared once and did Li Xiandao a great favor. It can be said that when Li Xiandao was at his weakest, Miss Oching helped him once, and Li Xiandao still remembers it in his heart. If this is Miss Oching, then she's definitely an old acquaintance. All the previous acquaintances were fake. Only this girl, Oching, was a real old acquaintance. Li Xiandao looked at Xiaoqi with hope. Xiaoqi also knew that Miss Oching had helped Li Xiandao back then, which was why Li Xiandao was so agitated now. She wasn't angry or jealous. Instead, she shared in Li Xiandao's excitement, joy, and smiles. "I told you, it's an old acquaintance, but unfortunately, it's not Miss Oching herself." Xiaoqi shook her head regretfully. Li Xiandao was stunned. "Not Miss Oching herself? What do you mean?" Li Xiandao asked, puzzled. "This time, the guest is Miss Oching's disciple," Xiaoqi said. "Oching has taken on a disciple." Li Xiandao also calmed down, composed himself, and said, "Please come in, I will receive you." Xiaoqi nodded, and this time she would personally go to pick up the guest. Li Xiandao, on the other hand, went to take a bath and change his clothes. Dressed in white, his face was aloof and cold. Looking at the mask, he thought for a moment and then put it down. "Back then, I was too weak to wear a mask out of necessity, just to avoid trouble. For Li Xiandao now, it doesn't matter anymore. Whether he wears a mask or not is irrelevant." Walking slowly to the trading hall, Li Xiandao, unusually, did not sit down, but stood with his hands behind his back in the center of the hall, his body straight and his eyelids lowered. Few people could affect Li Xiandao's state of mind, and Miss Oching was one of the few. Li Xiandao felt no affection for her whatsoever. All he felt was amazement and admiration. Li Xiandao still remembers that at the time, he had no cultivation whatsoever, and upon hearing that Miss Oching was actually a powerful being who had failed her tribulation and was about to ascend to the immortal realm. At that time, Li Xiandao, who had no cultivation, had already deeply admired Miss Oching. Even now, Miss Oching's cultivation level is still higher than Li Xiandao's. Li Xiandao's breakthroughs were like riding a rocket, yet he still lagged behind Oching in terms of cultivation level. This is also why Li Xiandao admires Miss Oching. Back then, the girl Oching captivated the heart of the frail Li Xiandao, and that feeling hasn't diminished much even now. Therefore, Li Xiandao was looking forward to meeting Oching's disciple. A moment later, Xiaoqi came in with a little boy. The little boy was only 5 or 6 years old, very thin, and his skin was a bit dark. His only distinguishing feature was his pair of bright, piercing eyes, which immediately made him recognizable. He approached Xiandao, his small hands clenched tightly, extremely nervous, but he still managed to remain calm and asked, "Are you the owner of the Heaven and Earth Bank?" Xiandao asked curiously, "You know me? I've heard my master mention you." The little boy breathed a sigh of relief after Xiandao acknowledged him, knowing he had found the right person. "Who is your master?" Xiandao asked, his eyes flashing. "Master's name is Oching." "Master said the owner of Qiandi Money Shop should know her name," the little boy said in a clear voice. "I know, so what's your name?" Xiandao nodded and asked. "Xiandao, my name is Xiandao. This is the name my master gave me," Xiandao replied, her eyes shining with hope as she stared at Xiandao without blinking. "When did your master take you in?" Xiandao asked softly. 2 months ago, my master came to Zongtian. Because of fate, she took me as her disciple. I am her first disciple and will also be her last disciple. That's what my master said, Xiandao said proudly. Chapter 5:14 Contract. Part 5. In the silent trading hall, Xiandao and Xiandao stood facing each other, the light casting long shadows on them. Xiandao looked at Xiandao, then walked to his seat and said, "Did your master send you to find me?" Xiandao nodded and said, "Master said you can help us." "Sit down and tell me slowly," Xiandao gestured, inviting her to sit down. Xiandao obediently sat down, but still looked at Xiandao anxiously. "Is your master in trouble?" Xiandao asked softly. "My master is trapped in the academy." Xiandao became anxious as she spoke of this. "Academy?" Xiandao looked at Xiandao with a puzzled expression. "It's the Immortal Academy. In Zongtian, it's one of the top powers. Every generation of the academy cultivates many geniuses, and the academy's dean is hailed as the #1 sage in Zongtian." Xiandao was anxious, but still managed to present the information clearly. "The Immortal Academy has trapped Miss Oching?" Xiandao looked at Xiandao in confusion, as the two should be completely unrelated. "Why?" Xiandao asked, voicing his doubts. "Master didn't want to ascend, but the Immortal Academy forced her to," Xiandao said through gritted teeth. Xiandao frowned. "Why force Miss Oching to ascend?" "Back then, Miss Oching failed to ascend to immortality. Her soul was incomplete, and even at the very last moment, she still collapsed. But that still represents top-tier talent and ability. In the years since the Immortal Gate was closed, very few people have successfully ascended. Even Miss Oching was just a step away from the final step. It's not that she's incapable, but rather that she has a regret in her heart. She cannot ascend unless this regret is fulfilled. Her power had long since reached its limit. As long as her mind was fulfilled, she could do so at any time. She still has over 90 years of opportunities, plenty of time for her to improve herself. Therefore, she was not in a hurry to ascend to heaven. But now, the people from the Immortal Academy are forcing her to ascend and have even imprisoned her. Why is that? Xiandao gritted his teeth and said, "I don't know the specifics, but I heard from others that none of the students from the Immortal Academy dare to ascend. They want to force my master to ascend, open the passage between immortals and mortals, and let them see how difficult it is to ascend." Xiandao frowned. This was to let Miss Oching experience the power of the heavenly tribulation for them. "Can't we wait?" Xiandao asked. "No, they're all fierce-looking and are forcing my master to ascend within 3 months, Xiandao said, shaking his head. "Then why did your master go to the Immortal Academy?" Xiandao asked curiously. "Because my master studied at the Immortal Academy in her early years, and she was invited back this time. Who would have thought that something like this would happen? What a load of rubbish. The Immortal Academy is full of hypocrites who forced my master, a woman, to ascend to immortality," Xiandao said indignantly. Xiandao roughly understood. But there are still some details that need to be clarified. Was it the pocket watch your master gave you? Li Xiandao continued to ask. Yes, when my master was imprisoned, he had the Immortal Academy release me and gave me a pocket watch. He told me to crush it if I encountered danger, find the owner of the Heaven and Earth Bank, and make a deal with him to save my life, Xiandao said honestly. So you're in danger? Li Xiandao asked. There is no danger, but I was also imprisoned in a small courtyard by the Immortal Academy and could not go out. I had no choice but to crush my pocket watch and come here, Xiandao said, shaking his head. This is the Heaven and Earth Bank. We can do any kind of deal. Just tell me what you want to trade, Li Xiandao said calmly. I want you to go and save my master, Xiandao said without hesitation. Li Xiandao nodded. This was not unexpected, but saving people was not for nothing. What price are you willing to pay for me to save your master? Li Xiandao asked. Miss Oching had done Li Xiandao a favor, so Li Xiandao went to save her. However, this rescue was carried out by Li Xiandao personally. Now, Xiandao has crushed his pocket watch and come to the Heaven and Earth money shop to find Li Xiandao to save his master. This is official business. In official matters, Li Xiandao never backed down. Whatever the amount, he would accept. Therefore, Li Xiandao looked at Xiandao with a calm expression. In his heart, Li Xiandao had already made up his mind. If Xiandao couldn't come up with the price, this deal couldn't be completed, so be it. He would secretly rescue Oching as a friend. This statement represents only Li Xiandao himself and does not represent Tiandi Qianzhuang. This is not rigidity or greed. For Li Xiandao, it is called professionalism and a clear distinction between public and private matters. Xiandao looked at Li Xiandao and asked, How much do you need to save my master? Saving different people comes at different prices. Your master is trapped in a top-tier power, and rescuing her would require a huge sacrifice. So, unless you can provide a massive amount of treasures, I cannot agree to this, Li Xiandao said. I wonder if the treasure of one ancient demon god is enough? Xiandao asked seriously. The treasure of the primordial demon god? Li Xiandao raised an eyebrow, surprised that such a dark-skinned and thin little boy as Xiandao would possess a treasure of the primordial demon god. This was left to me by my grandfather. Back then, he ventured deep into the demon abyss and entered the demon land, where he discovered this treasure. However, he couldn't retrieve it himself, so he drew a map and passed it on to me. Xiandao clearly explained the origin of the treasure in just a few words. Your grandfather went deep into the abyss demon land? Li Xiandao asked. Yes. My grandfather was a student of the same generation as my master. My master was my grandfather's senior. My grandfather died 2 months ago due to serious illness. Before he died, he met my master and entrusted me to him. Xiandao said through gritted teeth, no matter what the cost, he would save his master. Where's the treasure map? Li Xiandao stretched out his hand. Here it is. Xiandao handed Li Xiandao a piece of parchment paper soaked in mutton fat. On the parchment, there was a clear map, the end of which was the treasure of the ancient demon god. How about this? Will it allow you to rescue my master? Xiandao asked anxiously. Li Xiandao looked at the map, deep in thought. This so-called ancient demon god's treasure has no known quantity of treasures inside, so logically, Li Xiandao should refuse. But looking at Xiandao's expectant eyes, and considering that his first 2 deals with Songqian have both failed, it's a bit unlucky. Furthermore, if this ancient demon god's treasure contains a huge amount of valuable items, then Li Xiandao's deal would be incredibly profitable. So Li Xiandao snapped his fingers and said, Xiao Qi, prepare the contract and have him sign it. Xiao Qi immediately prepared the contract and handed it to Li Xiandao. Li Xiandao glanced at it, found no problems, placed it on the table, and pushed it to Xiandao. Sign it. Once you sign, I'll go save your master, Li Xiandao said calmly. Okay. Xiandao carefully looked at the contract and found that it clearly stated that she would save her master. She immediately felt reassured and signed it without hesitation. Chapter 515 The Dean's Conversation with Oching. Part 6. The Immortal Academy is very famous in the heavens. Among all the famous academies, it is undoubtedly the number one. The Academy's dean is a renowned sage who has been in charge of the Immortal Academy for tens of thousands of years, and the Academy remains under his leadership to this day. The Immortal Academy is a vast and ancient academy situated on a boundless, undulating land. In the very center, there is a tower, and at the top of the tower is a bronze bell. Beneath the bronze bell, a woman sits cross-legged in meditation. Her long, black hair moved without wind, each strand glistening. The woman was beautiful, but unlike the gentle beauty of other women, she possessed an aura that made others feel ashamed of their own appearance. So elegant. Even in such a simple cross-legged meditation, she exudes elegance. This is Oching, a powerful and beautiful woman. When people get old, they like to reminisce about the past, and I'm no exception. An old man stood outside the tower, looking at the girl, Oching. Oching just looked at him silently. When I was young, I was just like you, full of vigor and ambition. As one of the founders of the Immortal Academy, I thought I could compare myself to the immortals in the heavens. So we founded the Immortal Academy. The 5 of us named it because we were determined to cultivate new immortals, since we had all failed to ascend. Since the Immortal Gate was closed, the immortals have faced countless difficulties. We failed, and we failed not only that time, but also our own spirit. The third brother often said, when a person loses their spirit, they lose everything. I don't know when it started, but I actually took the initiative to embark on the path of disbanding my army and becoming a cultivator, a path I used to look down on. I just feel very unwilling that I have never seen what the immortal realm is like. 100 years ago, my second son also passed away. Before he left, he held my hand. At that time he could not speak clearly, but he kept repeating, "Spirit, spirit, spirit." I don't quite understand. Is ambition really that important? I lost my will to live and chose the path of disintegration and reclusion. I survived. But none of the 4 of them survived. They would rather die than give up their will to live. Their will to live was already shattered when the lightning struck them. Why couldn't they give it up? Over the years, I've been thinking, what's the use of ambition? I've lost my ambition, but I'm still alive, I can live a long time, and I can continue to strive to go to the immortal realm. Why don't they choose to dissolve their cultivation and become independent cultivators? The dean's question echoed in the academy's tower. The girl, Oching, listened without interrupting. Only after the dean finished speaking did she sigh and say, "So time really can change a person. So there really are people who, after killing a dragon, become dragons themselves. You've really become the very thing you used to hate the most," sighed Oching. The old man smiled bitterly. "I have never tasted the feeling of the peak, but I know the taste of desolation. Watching my 4 brothers, whom I once swore an oath with, die one by one before my eyes. How spirited and arrogant they were, how proud they were of the heavens, but now, one by one, they are dying in front of me. Have you ever personally seen your loved ones pass away? We 5 brothers were already blood brothers. I personally sent them off one by one. Now, I have forgotten what the second brother meant by ambition. Ambition, ambition. It's something you possessed when you were full of vigor, something I now insist on disagreeing with your methods, and something you hate the most right now," said Miss Oching calmly. The dean met her gaze. "I have to admit, I see the same drive that the second brother has always talked about in you. You're right, I hate that drive now. So you agreed to that reincarnated immortal suggestion to let me sacrifice myself, undergo tribulation to open the passage between immortals and mortals, and then transport many, many immortals down to enslave the 9 heavens and 10 earths, is that right?" the love girl asked. "How can it be called slavery if the weak obey the strong?" the dean retorted. "Just like you said, the weak listen to the strong. That immortal reincarnated and started cultivating again. He can also ascend to immortality soon. Why doesn't he try it and instead ask me to open the passage between immortals and mortals?" Miss Oching asked. "Because you are far inferior to me. A young man who had seized the destiny of heaven 9 times walked over. He was handsome, but his temperament was a bit cold. He was serious and rarely smiled, like a little old man. "Let me out now, and I'll beat you so badly your own mother wouldn't recognize you. A reincarnated immortal? You're nothing but trash." Girl Oching glanced at him domineeringly and said indifferently, "I know you're amazing, you're a genius. Even the dean says you're the strongest student the Immortal Academy has ever had. You've cultivated for 3,000 years, while I've only cultivated for 30. That's a 100-fold difference. It's normal that I can't win. This young man is a genius who was reincarnated as an immortal and regained his true spirit. He is also the most outstanding disciple of the Immortal Academy in this generation. Evergreen." Chongqing and the dean stood on opposite sides, one trying to persuade and the other threatening, both trying to get Oching to agree to ascend. This is because Miss Oching is too powerful. If a real fight broke out, the Immortal Academy would definitely be destroyed. The dean will not agree to destroy the academy. He had lost his spirit, and with his profound wisdom, he knew that if the academy were destroyed, all his efforts over the years would be in vain. Therefore, the tower suppressed the girl Oching, and the bronze bell above her head was a very powerful celestial artifact. At this moment, the bronze bell seemed to be motionless, but in fact, it had completely activated all the immortal restrictions, unleashing the power of the immortal artifact and suppressing Miss Oching in the tower. Unable to leave the tower, and unable to move easily, Oching could only use her words. "Even if you insist, you have to think about your apprentice." "I've brought him back," the dean said softly. Miss Oching was not furious as expected, but just sneered. When did the dean, who is everyone's #1 wise man and always has a good demeanor, resort to such despicable means? "Aren't you worried about your apprentice at all?" The dean's face darkened. He couldn't bear being insulted like that by Miss Oching. "I've already prepared a way out for him. As for you, do you still have even a shred of your former wisdom?" Girl Oching looked at the dean with disdain. "Now you are obsessed with saving face, neglecting substance for the sake of appearances. You are full of immoral thoughts and desires, and your mind, which is supposed to be able to distinguish right from wrong, is also filled with thoughts of immortality and the celestial realm, making it unable to function. It is truly sad. 3,000 years ago, we could think independently and could lead us to critique the past and present, and discuss life and dreams. Time is like a great river, constantly washing away everyone. People are like stones, some are smoothed out and become rounded, disappearing from sight, while others remain resilient. Your 4 brothers are the epitome of resilience, while you don't even deserve the word rounded," said Oching, her lips curling into a sneer. Her bluntness struck a nerve with the dean. Chapter 516 Even Immortals Are Human. Part 1. Oching's insults infuriated the dean, but he was helpless to do anything about it. He is no longer the wise and intelligent dean he once was. Now the older he gets, the more stubborn he becomes, and the more afraid he is of death. He didn't want to die, so he joined forces with Chongqing, a reincarnation of a celestial being, and came up with a plan to bring people from the celestial realm down to the mortal world. Since the gates to immortality are closed and the key is nowhere to be found, let someone ascend to immortality, open the passage between immortals and mortals, and let the people of the immortal realm seize this rare opportunity to descend to the mortal realm in their true forms. The consequence of this is that it puts Miss Oching in great danger. If someone breaks in during her tribulation, it will definitely cause a disturbance in the lightning tribulation. Of course, immortals can withstand it, but what about Miss Oching? No one cared whether she lived or died. Once you open the passage between immortals and immortals descend, a minor heavenly tribulation will be nothing to you. The dean took a deep breath, suppressing his anger, and continued to persuade him. Chongqing also said, "Once the passage between immortals and mortals is opened, you will be a great contributor. My forces in the immortal realm will be happy and will accept you. You will be valued and with your talent, you will rise to prominence in no time." Miss Oching chuckled lightly. "What you're saying is so simplistic. You couldn't even fool a child, let alone me. The dean and Chong Qing exchanged a glance, both seeing a hint of helplessness in each other's eyes. Oching's stubborn attitude infuriated them, and they were at a loss as to what to do with her. You can't kill Miss Oching after all. She still needs to trigger the tribulation herself and open the passage between the immortals and mortals. The dean took a deep breath and said, Oching, you are the most outstanding disciple I have trained. I know you are determined and I cannot persuade you. Don't blame your teacher for being ruthless. Jinzhou is in my hands. I will not hurt him, but I will throw him into the abyss. You know how terrifying the 18th abyss is. Oching's expression changed slightly. The dean seemed to have made up his mind, his expression turning indifferent. I don't know what trump cards you've left for Jinzhou, but now I've brought Jinzhou here, right in front of you, opened the 18 abyss, and kicked him down. I think your trump cards won't be enough to counter that, will they? Miss Oching remained silent, staring at the dean with extremely cold eyes. This once wise dean has now completely turned to the dark side. Bring Jinzhou to me. The dean and Qing stared at each other without backing down, their indifferent gazes contrasting sharply with Qing's icy demeanor. Chong Qing immediately turned and left, intending to bring Jinzhou with him. But he stopped after taking only a few steps. What's wrong? The dean asked, frowning. Jinzhou came by himself. Chong Qing hesitated for a moment before saying. The dean turned his head and looked over. On a road in front of the tower, lined with maple trees every few meters, blocking out the sunlight, Jinzhou, dark-skinned and thin, walked by. He walked ahead, his face resolute, and behind him was another person. A tall and upright man. A man with a calm expression. The moment Chong Qing and the dean took that step, they felt as if the whole world had turned upside down. Boom. Xiandao's essence, energy, and spirit transformed into a giant hammer, which pounded down fiercely. Chong Qing and the dean's expressions changed drastically. A master. Chong Qing said solemnly. How can someone who has only reached the 8th level of the heavenly mandate realm possess such terrifying spiritual energy? The dean gritted his teeth, feeling utterly incredulous. Oching, who was behind, saw Xiandao and her eyes lit up. She smiled and said, You can't crack the trump card I prepared for Jinzhou right now. Is this person your friend? Chong Qing asked, frowning. A friend I met once, said Oching casually. 8 times I've seized the destiny of heaven. Killing him is still within my capabilities, Chong Qing said confidently. He was a reincarnated immortal who had cultivated for 30 years and reached the 9th level of seizing the destiny of heaven. I don't think you can kill me, Xiandao said, shaking his head as he approached. You dare to trespass into my immortal academy all alone? You are far too arrogant, the dean said coldly. Xiandao looked at everything inside the tower and said calmly, Since I'm here I don't take you seriously. So arrogant. Which faction are you a disciple of? The dean frowned, worried that Xiandao might have some powerful background. There are still several powerful forces in the heavens that the Immortal Academy cannot afford to offend. Therefore, the dean was very vigilant. Me. I just arrived in Songtian. I don't belong to any faction. I run my own money exchange. Everything in the world can be traded here. If you are not dead today, you are welcome to come again. Xiandao said in a gentle manner. You have no power, yet you run your own money exchange. You're incredibly audacious to come to my Immortal Academy like this. I don't know whether to call you ignorant or fearless. The dean sneered, a huge weight lifted from his heart. At least he wasn't from any other powerful force. In your eyes, this is ignorance and fearlessness, but in my eyes, it is nothing out of the ordinary. I am here today to seek justice for this child. Xiandao looked at Jinzhou. Fair. Chong Qing laughed dismissively. Have we been treated unfairly? The dean asked coldly. Release my master. Jinzhou shouted through gritted teeth. Whether or not you release your master is not something you, a mere black-haired brat, can decide, Chongqing said disdainfully. No, he can decide, Li Xiandao retorted to Chongqing. You want to be the first to stick your neck out? Chongqing stared at Li Xiandao with a dark look in his eyes. Although Li Xiandao's spirit gave him a rude awakening, he was a reincarnated immortal with formidable strength, and having seized the mandate of heaven 9 times, he had no reason to fear Li Xiandao. Yes, I'm here to be the first to speak up. Li Xiandao nodded seriously. The nail that sticks out gets hammered down, do you know that? Chongqing said viciously, taking a step forward. Behind him, with a loud boom, countless palaces appeared, extremely vast and terrifying. Seeing Chongqing's imposing aura, Li Xiandao felt neither fear nor worry, but rather took it in stride. Instead, he lowered his head to look at Jin Jiao and handed him his purple crystal sword. Take this and go unlock your master's seal, Li Xiandao ordered. Jin Jiao's eyes brightened, and she took the amethyst sword from Li Xiandao. Just as she was about to walk forward, Chongqing moved. You still want to cross over in front of me? You're dreaming. Chongqing roared, his body as solid as a mountain. He strode forward and slapped down, causing the void to tremble and engulfing Li Xiandao and Jin Jiao. Jin Jiao was immediately terrified and unable to move, clutching Li Xiandao's amethyst sword and trembling. Upon seeing this, Li Xiandao frowned and said coldly, bullying a child, is this what you call the conduct of an immortal? Immortals are also human beings. As human beings, they naturally have emotions and desires. Why do you think that immortals must be impartial and selfless, and not part of the mortal world? Chongqing said coldly. Chapter 517 Li Xiandao's Berserk. Part 2. Chongqing is right. Even immortals are human. The earliest description of immortals was not that of a high and mighty deity, but rather of a person who lived in seclusion in the deep mountains and cultivated himself in asceticism. The immortal was cultivating himself in the mountains all by himself. This is the original meaning of immortals. However, later, with the decline of the 9 heavens and 10 earths and the rise of the immortal realm, they stood high above, looking down on all living beings. The immortal was looked upon with reverence by countless people, and was shrouded in a radiant glow. Li Xiandao agreed, saying, immortals are just like us, except that their cultivation is a bit higher. It is our perspective that gives immortals a sacred halo. Good to know. We also have emotions and desires, joy, anger, sorrow and happiness. Right now I'm very angry. You're the one who sticks out, so I'll kill you. Chongqing snorted coldly, his palm lit up, and the huge palace behind him pressed down hard. Even Jin Jiao was included. No one was spared. This attack was extremely fierce and terrifying. But in Li Xiandao's eyes, it was nothing special. He flipped his hand and went straight to meet it. Li Xiandao's palms didn't have many fancy features. They only displayed a firm goal and his terrifying power. Boom. Upon collision, Li Xiandao's immense power erupted from his body, instantly destroying a large portion of Chongqing's palace before pressing down on it relentlessly. Although Li Xiandao's realm was at the 8th level of seizing the mandate of heaven, his strength had long surpassed that realm. Moreover, the power he unleashed was terrifying. Chongqing never expected this attack and suffered a hidden loss, being sent flying by Li Xiandao in an instant. Thump. Chongqing crashed directly onto the floor of the tower, instantly shattering the ground, cracking the stone bricks, and sending countless flying stones flying. The earth trembled as if an earthquake had occurred, the ground shook violently, it was terrifying. Chongqing's face turned black and white in turns, and he coughed up blood. He looked at Li Xian with resentment and said, "How can you be so terrifying?" This force made his attack a joke. In front of Li Xiandao, his attacks were child's play and not worth mentioning. He was knocked to the ground by Li Xiandao in an instant. I told you, I'm here to be the first to stick my neck out. If I don't have any ability, what's the point of being the first to stick my neck out? Li Xiandao said calmly. Are you really determined to be the one to stick your neck out? Chongqing got up, clutching his chest, short of breath, and looked at Li Xiandao with resentment. Today, I'm here to demand justice, Li Xiandao said firmly, looking at the two of them. Fairness, fairness, what a load of bull. In this world, it's a dog-eat-dog world. You're weak, so you deserve to be eaten. Millions of weak people need justice, but can you possibly get it? The dean roared, his eyes icy. Chongqing also sneered. This is the biggest joke I've heard this year. This world lives under the law of the jungle. Your pursuit of justice is simply laughable. Oching and Jin Zhou watched silently. What exactly is the justice that Li Xiandao speaks of? Miss Oching looked at Li Xiandao with bright eyes, filled with curiosity. The world is cold, so you are cold too. Then the others lit a campfire, gathered together, and huddled together for warmth. You got angry, kicked over the campfire, killed them, and looked at them with disdain, not understanding why you had to go against this cold world. Li Xiandao said coldly. Even if your life is as insignificant as an ant's, you can still look up at the sky. If you live in the mud, never get used to the mud. If you don't have the ability to change or correct this world, then watch others change and correct it. Li Xiandao stared coldly at Chongqing. Don't be afraid of others changing. You're not mocking me for wanting justice now, you're afraid I'll want it. Li Xiandao's imposing aura pressed down on Chongqing, making him breathe heavily. Li Xiandao's words stung him, making him grit his teeth. Then today you will pay with your life for this justice. Boom. Chongqing was forced to make a move by Li Xiandao. Although he had just been defeated by Li Xiandao, he had now fully activated all his magical power, techniques, and the soul of an immortal. Boom. Chongqing pointed out, and a sharp light burst forth from his fingertip, extremely dazzling and radiating a terrifying glow. It transformed into an ice dragon that roared and charged forward. The distance was extremely short, so it was incredibly fast, instantly enveloping Li Xiandao. Click. However, the ice shard struck Li Xiandao and shattered instantly. Li Xiandao grabbed it with his large hand, and his surging true energy, like chains, bound him tightly. Then he let out a loud shout, his voice booming like thunder. Broken. In the void, the ice dragon suddenly cracked open. At this moment, Li Xiandao activated all his strength and was not careless in the slightest. Chongqing was, after all, a reincarnated immortal. If he were arrogant and was tricked by Chongqing, he would have nowhere to cry. Bang bang bang. True energy, like chains, bound Chongqing, but he broke free instantly. With a grab, he drew a long spear from thin air, which shimmered with endless fire snakes, and slashed fiercely at him. This long spear unleashed tremendous power, terrifyingly so, causing the void to tremble. The fire serpent roared and howled, its ferocious face seemingly wanting to devour Li Xiandao. Clang. Li Xiandao immediately took out his magic weapon, the Great Wilderness Starfall. With a sudden powerful impact, the Great Wilderness Starfall slammed into the spear. Rumble. A terrifying pressure swept across the surrounding area, instantly engulfing the entire 10-acre territory. Houses were destroyed, courtyard walls were crushed into dust, and trees were uprooted and sent flying, crashing to the ground. All these changes happened in an instant. In an instant, only the tower remained intact, because the immortal artifacts had released all the immortal seals and were suppressing Miss Oching. The dean's clothes fluttered, but he stood firmly, unharmed. The dean glanced at Jin Zhou, who was completely unharmed despite the impact. It was the amethyst sword that protected him, forming a shield that withstood the impact. Seeing this, Oching breathed a sigh of relief. Chongqing's spear trembled as it was struck, and he also suffered a tremendous impact. The combined force of the Great Wilderness Starfall and Li Xiandao's full power caused Chongqing to cough up blood, his face turning deathly pale. He quickly retreated, and the flames on the spear immediately disappeared, revealing its true form, a spear that was entirely black. Li Xiandao, carrying the Great Wilderness Meteorite, advanced instead of retreating, intending to continue smashing it. The best use of the Great Wilderness Starfall is to smash with its unparalleled sharpness, and Li Xiandao is now putting its power to good use. The second blow was imminent, and it struck down immediately as Chongqing retreated. When Chongqing couldn't avoid this attack, if he didn't want to get hurt, he had to defend himself. But as soon as he tried to resist, he immediately vomited out his internal organs, his body rolled out like a gourd, and his breath dissipated. Xiandao struck 2 swords, knocking a reincarnated immortal so hard he couldn't stand up. Chapter 518 Annihilation Sword 1. Part 3. Xiandao smashed Chongqing to the ground with 2 sword strikes and then looked at the Dean. The real threat is not Chongqing, but the Dean. The Dean is the foundation of the Immortal Academy, even though he has become corrupt and decadent, forgetting everything he once upheld. But he is very strong. He has gone from seizing the mandate of heaven 9 times to becoming a wandering immortal after 1 tribulation. After reaching the level of 9 heavenly mandates, there will be a long transition period. During this transition period, one must continuously improve oneself. When this improvement reaches a certain level, a qualitative change will occur. This is also the Venerable One mentioned in the heavenly realm. After 9 attempts to seize the mandate of heaven, there was another Venerable One. Although he also seized the mandate of heaven 9 times, his combat power was incomparable. Above the Venerable One is the Ascension realm. Ascension is a general concept, and some people in this realm dare not ascend at all, because they know full well that once they attract the tribulation of lightning, they will fail 100%. Some people at this level are very confident that they will succeed once they overcome the tribulation. Miss Oching falls into the second category. She currently only has a spiritual deficiency. If she can teach Jin Jiao how to cultivate and help him rise to prominence, Miss Oching can break through the heavens and enter the immortal realm. However, what should be done if some people fail to overcome the tribulation but do not die? He disintegrated from his cultivation, then passed through the tribulation of a rogue cultivator, and became a rogue immortal. The term loose immortal sounds nice, but it's actually a realm designed for losers, so it's no less difficult. Every so often, a loose immortal will undergo a loose immortal tribulation, a total of 9 times, each time more powerful than the last, until they successfully overcome the tribulation and ascend to the immortal realm. Otherwise, they will perish. The Dean of the Immortal Academy survived a tribulation of a loose immortal and became a first tribulation loose immortal. His strength surpasses that of Chongqing. But he still chose to listen to Chongqing and cooperate with him. It was only after he had survived the heavenly tribulation of a loose immortal that he realized how terrifying it was. He could hardly survive the second heavenly tribulation of a loose immortal, and he would surely die the 3rd time, let alone the 9th time. The Dean and Chongqing collaborated in order to bring down all the immortals and then use their power to help them overcome the 9 tribulations of the scattered immortals. This was his goal, and he did not hesitate to force Oching to achieve it. But now all these plans have become chaotic because of the sudden appearance of Xiandao. The Dean remained silent, staring at Xiandao with a sinister look in his eyes, his gaze filled with deep-seated hatred. Xiandao's plan to stop him was to force him to undergo tribulation, which was to force him to his death. They were mortal enemies. How could the Dean not be furious? In his heart, he wanted to devour Xiandao alive. Go to hell. So the Dean only uttered a cold sentence before launching an instant attack, his murderous intent surging forth in a flash. The surrounding air suddenly dropped several degrees, and a chilling killing intent pierced to the bone. Boom. The Dean raised his hand and unleashed an ancient divine law. The fiery red divine law surged like raging flames and raged like thunder, exploding and sweeping across the area. Taste my blazing thunder. This is one of the ancient divine laws, an attack technique of the ancient demon god. The Dean said coldly, his voice echoing in Xiandao's ears, trying to distract him. Xiandao's expression was cold. The power unleashed by the ancient divine laws was indeed strong, but in Xiandao's view, it was not so invincible. He activated the great desolate starfall, his body erupting with surging true energy, activating the immortal restrictions within the great desolate starfall, which then burst forth all at once. Boom. Xiandao's attack slammed directly into this divine law, unleashing a tremendous burst of light. It shimmered all around, incredibly dazzling, even blinding. Bang! The ancient guard was directly shattered under Li Xiandao's bombardment. No matter how powerful it was not something that ancient gods and demons could wield. How could it withstand the great wilderness starfall that completely activated the immortal restriction? The Dean wasn't afraid of anything. He was a first-stage immortal cultivator with a very high upper limit to his strength. At this moment, he took out his magic weapon, a book. A divine book. This is a celestial artifact, incredibly powerful. The Dean activated all the restrictions and then turned to the first page. Suppressed by immortals, the Dean said coldly. In an instant, more than a dozen illusory immortal figures surged from all directions around Li Xiandao, each carrying an extremely powerful attack, and slammed down fiercely. These illusory figures of immortals only had one strike, and this strike was extremely fierce and violent. This means that at once, more than a dozen people attacked Li Xiandao. These dozen or so people all possessed the same level of skill and strength as the Dean. Although it was only one strike, Li Xiandao felt immense pressure. This pressure is what made Li Xiandao's expression serious. "This time, you are doomed to die," the Dean said coldly. "I don't want to die, and no one can kill me," Li Xiandao retorted in kind, showing no fear of anyone in verbal sparring. "Then let's try it. Now suppress him," the Dean roared coldly, placing one hand on the immortal book. True energy erupted, his clothes fluttered, and his hair danced wildly, making him look as terrifying as a god or a demon. Rumble. The surrounding world suddenly changed color, dark clouds gathered, thunder roared, and the pressure pressed down. Li Xiandao reached out and grabbed the great wilderness starfall, a smirk playing on his lips, his blood boiling with excitement. "The pressure you put on me is the greatest. Now I can unleash my strongest attack." Li Xiandao held up the great wilderness meteor, his eyes cold. The wind howled all around, swirling everything up. The sky was covered with dark clouds, thunder roared, and lightning bolts flashed. It was terrifying. Meanwhile, Li Xiandao, holding up the great wilderness meteor, became the target of these energies, which rushed into Li Xiandao's great wilderness meteor in an instant. Click. Thousands of lightning bolts struck the great wilderness meteorite, but fortunately, the great wilderness meteorite was a celestial artifact, tough and powerful enough, so it was not shattered by the lightning. However, these thunderous forces caused Li Xiandao's body to tremble. He suddenly took a deep breath, his eyes bright and dazzling, like two lanterns in the dark night. Annihilation. Li Xiandao took a step forward, roared, and unleashed a powerful strike with the great wilderness starfall. Boom! At this moment, all the great Tao that Li Xiandao had comprehended merged into this sword. Within his body, the great Tao remained unchanged, transforming into a scene of annihilation. With this sword strike, the hazy sky was shattered, the dark clouds exploded, and the sound spread outwards, clearing the entire sky. The dozen or so illusory figures of immortals were swept away in an instant. The Dean, who still controlled the immortal book, saw the sword fall and his eyes sharpened. He flipped through the immortal book, reached the last page, and slammed it down hard. Rumble. All the powerful energy within him surged into it. When an immortal is enraged, millions will fall dead. The Dean made a clean break and went head-to-head with Li Xiandao, directly charging into him and channeling all his true energy into the immortal book. Knock, knock, knock. At this moment, the entire Immortal Academy was shaken. Everyone watched in horror as a sword aura spanning dozens of miles collided with an invincible immortal phantom. The next second, the immortal phantom was shattered by this sword. Rumble. The area within 1,000 miles of the Immortal Academy's tower was instantly reduced to scorched earth, devoid of any life. There was only Li Xiandao, panting heavily and drenched in sweat. There was only surprise on Oching's face. There was only one person, Jin Jiao, who was dumbfounded. Chapter 519 The Weakling Li Xiandao. Part 4. The surrounding area was completely destroyed, and the land was sank, forming a huge basin. Most of the Immortal Academy was destroyed, but fortunately, the previous fighting had driven many students away. Now, looking at the Immortal Academy, they gasped in shock. The Immortal Academy was utterly destroyed. It would never again possess its former prestige and reputation. The central tower remains intact. However, the magical bronze bell, having lost the dean's control, returned to calm and remained completely still. Girl Oching stood up, reached out and took the magical bronze bell in her hand, and said, "You suppressed me for several days. Now that your master is dead, you will follow my disciple from now on." Oching handed the bronze bell to Xiandao. Xiandao said shyly, "Master, I don't need any magical artifacts. Take it. This thing won't be of much help to me, but you can use it for self-defense." Girl Oching stuffed the shrunken bronze bell into Xiandao's arms, saying without a doubt. Xiandao obediently accepted it, and then looked at her master. Miss Oching approached Xiandao and smiled, saying, "I never expected that the owner of the money shop who used to need my help would be no less capable than me now." Xiandao's body was completely empty. All his true energy and Dao essence had been exhausted. Even the great wilderness starfall was stuck in the ground, and he couldn't pull it out. Although the battle with the dean seemed simple, it exhausted all of Xiandao's strength. He is no longer capable of fighting. If the dean can hold on, then Xiandao will leave and return to the Heaven and Earth Bank. This also made Xiandao clearly realize that he could only deal with a first-stage loose immortal at present, and was no match for a second-stage loose immortal. Xiandao smiled happily and looked at Miss Oching, saying, "It was the same back then, and it's still the same now. You save me once, and I'll save you once." Miss Oching smiled gently. "You can't calculate it like that. You were invited by my disciple this time. What price did he pay?" Xiandao looked at Miss Oching, smiled without saying a word, and did not reveal any information about the Heaven and Earth Bank. Miss Oching wasn't annoyed and said, "Could it be that you paid for something you're ashamed to talk about?" "Master, I gave Grandpa's treasure map to the money house owner," Xiandao said to himself. Xiandao smiled. This wasn't his statement, but rather that of the guest. Moreover, since Miss Oching had entered the Tiendi money shop, it couldn't be considered that she had leaked the shop's secrets. "That's all right. I was worried you might pawn some of your things, which wouldn't be worth it." Miss Oching was relieved. Her only regret was passing on the cultivation technique. As long as she passed it on to Xiandao, she could ascend to immortality. Therefore, she cared a lot about this disciple. "You have fully recovered now. I'm still quite curious as to why you appeared in Dolly in the first place." Xiandao asked curiously. In the Great Li Land, after Xiandao obtained the Heaven and Earth Bank, his second customer was a Qing. But she was at the Ascension Realm at the time, so how did she end up in the Great Li Land? Girl Oching let out a long sigh and said, "I fell directly from the heavens to the Great Li Earth. After failing the tribulation, I was in the 5 signs of decay and death was imminent. I was then struck by lightning and fell all the way from the heavens to the Great Li Earth. I lost all my cultivation. The Great Li Earth did not notice, which is why I was able to meet you and get a chance to start over." Only after saying all this did Miss Oching realize how lucky she was. The lightning tribulation had nearly killed her, but it had given her a chance to survive, and she had met Xiandao, who had inherited the Heaven and Earth Bank. But if it were heaven, then that girl Oching would have died. "All right, now that you're all right, I should head back too. Until we meet again." Xiandao had regained some of his strength. He pulled out the great wilderness starfall and stored it in his dantian, then took back the amethyst sword and placed it in his sea of consciousness. "Goodbye." Girl Oching bid farewell to Xiandao with a graceful air. "By the way, let me know when you ascend to immortality. I'd like to observe it," Xiandao said with a smile. "Okay, how should I inform you?" Miss Oching asked. "Tell the spring breeze, tell the summer sun, tell the autumn rain, tell the winter snow, you can tell them all. By the time you ascend, I should be able to communicate with all things." Xiandao waved his hand and walked away gracefully. Miss Oching watched Xiandao's dashing figure without saying a word. Upon returning to the Heaven and Earth Bank, Li Xiandao frantically absorbed spiritual energy, channeling it into his body to replenish his losses. This battle served as a stark reminder to Li Xiandao that he was still not strong enough. If a loose immortal at the first tribulation is this terrifying, then what about a loose immortal at the second tribulation, the third tribulation, or the fourth tribulation? Will it get more and more terrifying as we go on? Thinking about it this way, Li Xiandao felt very weak, and he continued to cultivate without stopping while absorbing spiritual energy. What's wrong? Xiaoqi walked over and asked worriedly when she saw Li Xiandao's weak appearance. I'm too weak, I need to become stronger. Li Xiandao sighed, his expression sorrowful. He had thought that with his current strength he could sweep across the heavens, but now it seemed that he couldn't. Xiaoqi breathed a sigh of relief when she saw that Li Xiandao was not seriously injured. She said in an annoyed tone, "You are not weak now. Your foundation is so deep that killing enemies of higher levels is as easy as drinking water. Even if you enter the immortal realm in the future, with your foundation and roots, there will be no obstacles. Don't break through too quickly." "But I'm still too weak right now," Li Xiandao emphasized. "The fact that he is a weakling. Didn't you kill that first stage immortal?" Xiaoqi asked. "But I've also exhausted myself," Li Xiandao said, dissatisfied. "What effect do you want to achieve?" Xiaoqi asked. "Ideally, it would be a single sword aura that sweeps away all enemies," Li Xiandao said longingly. He didn't like such thrilling fights. Although he won, he ended up looking disheveled and weak, as if he had kidney deficiency. The previous crushing battles were more interesting. Xiaoqi said irritably, "Do you think this is some inferior world? In other worlds, you can kill an enemy with a single sword aura because you suppress the opponent too much. But this is the Azure Heaven, the final stop of the 9 heavens and 10 earths. It's a bit difficult for you to achieve what you did before," Xiaoqi added. "It's a bit difficult, but that's okay. I have to change the current situation. I'm too weak," Li Xiandao emphasized. Xiaoqi looked at Li Xiandao helplessly. Li Xiandao was clearly very powerful, but he felt that it was because he was weak that he could not kill the enemy with one sword. Was this a kind of caution? But Li Xiandao didn't care about all that and directly contacted the demon and Zhong Ziki. "Have you found any information about the remaining 4 demon god pillars?" Li Xiandao asked. Once Li Xiandao obtains these 4 demon god pillars, he will surely be able to break through to the pinnacle. This time, he will no longer need to integrate with the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Using them all for cultivation will provide him with the best resources, allowing him to directly break through to the peak. Therefore, Li Xiandao was very concerned about these 4 demon god pillars. This is something that helps the weak Li Xiandao become stronger. No one can take it away. Whoever takes it is Li Xiandao's enemy. Chapter 520. A clue has been found. Part 5. In the heavens, the demon and Zhong Ziki arrived early. Before Li Xiandao destroyed the Chenkuan immortal sect, they paid the toll and entered Songtian. And even now, the two are still searching. The heavens are vast, from high mountains to rivers, from the north to the south, from the snowy grasslands beyond the Great Wall. The demon and Zhong Ziki traveled all over. They weren't just running around on their own. They also contacted many powerful organizations and intelligence selling groups. After investing a lot of resources, they received very little information. Now they have no resources, no information, and they are exhausted. In a small town beyond the Great Wall, the demon lord was alone in an inn, drinking wine and eating mutton. Although the food was delicious, he had no interest in it. The soul of Zhong Ziki, sitting opposite him, could only watch him eat, but could not reach out to him. Both of them looked unwell. "We've been in Songtian for so long, but we still haven't found the demon god pillar. If our master blames us, we can't bear the consequences," Zhong Ziki sighed. "Didn't you come to the heavenly palace to search for treasures everywhere?" the demon asked. "I've been here before, but I only do normal treasure hunting in Songtian. The people here are too powerful. I wouldn't dare to be presumptuous in front of them," Zhong Ziki said regretfully. His understanding of the heavens was superficial, far less than that of the other major worlds. Because in the heavens, he was a weakling. Even if there were treasures, he dared not go looking for them, for if he encountered a master, he would be doomed. In other worlds, he can protect himself, suppress others, and ensure his own safety. Therefore, Zhong Ziki was completely baffled. This demon god pillar is what you're looking for, and now you're making me the main force to find people? When you were making those boastful claims, why didn't you think of this moment? Zhong Ziki said indignantly. The demon sighed, utterly dejected, and said, "Who would have thought that any boast they made would come true? If they had known the difficulties they were facing, the demon back then would have said less. Why mention all 12 demon pillars? Saying only 8 would have sufficed. If we're talking about 8 roots, then the task is already complete. Master has already entered the heavenly realm. When the demon god pillar is needed, and you can't produce it, what will you do?" Zhong Ziki sighed. "There's no other way but to tell the truth. If the master will punish me, then let him punish me." The demon reluctantly took a large bite of meat. "I came to this remote town because I heard that some people here have seen this demon god pillar, but I don't know if it's true or not," Zhong Ziki said calmly. "Don't get your hopes up. We've already asked no fewer than 100 people like this. They all claim to have seen the demon god pillar, but when we went to check, they were mostly lying or they were just mistaken. Anyway, I've given up hope," the demon said, shaking his head. "Since we're already here, let's go take a look," Zhong Ziki said helplessly. "All right, I'll go check it out after I finish eating." The demon quickened his pace, finished his mutton, paid the bill, and left. The ancient town, with tens of thousands of people, occupies a key position on the frontier, so there are many merchants coming and going, transporting various goods back and forth to sell and earn a little profit from the price difference. These are all ordinary practitioners. Most great practitioners would disdain this kind of business. Therefore, the demon and Zhong Ziki encountered no obstacles along the way. After the demon took over Zhong Ziki's body, it never stopped cultivating. Even when eating, searching for people, or resting, the demon's summoning scripture was silently running. Therefore, the current demon has already reached the level of seizing destiny 9 times. He is superior to Xiandao. Because the demon was a powerful being in the demon realm with complete memories, coupled with the abundant spiritual energy in the heavens and the power of the demon summoning scripture, these factors combine to allow the demon to unknowingly reach the 9th heavenly mandate realm. Even so, he was still afraid of Xiandao from the bottom of his heart, fearing that Xiandao would come and ask about the demon god pillar. The demon has already developed a fear of Xiandao. Walking through the ancient city, they arrived at the entrance of a martial arts school, led by someone else. The old owner of this martial arts school is the same Zhu Zi you mentioned. I visited him several times before he agreed to meet with you and tell you something. "Don't forget my hard work," said a local tyrant. The demon casually tossed him a piece of divine energy and said impatiently, "Please take us in. If the information is wrong, we won't get the reward." "What if the information is correct?" the local bully said confidently. The devil laughed. He had met more than 100 such so-called insiders. How could he not know the inside story here? "If the information is correct, I'll give you 10 times the price, but if the information is wrong, don't blame me for turning my back on you." The demon squinted his eyes in displeasure. "Don't worry, sir. As long as the information you give me is correct, I guarantee there won't be any mistakes. You've given me this 10-fold price," the local thug said with a grin. "So confident?" Zhong Ziki asked, quite surprised. There are plenty of confident people out there, and there have been confident people before, but it turns out they were all lying. The demon remained non-committal, telling the local thug to lead the way and stop with the empty talk. Upon entering the martial arts school, an old man quickly emerged. This was an old man with white hair, very old, but his cultivation level was not high, only at the 33rd step of the legendary realm. Logically speaking, a legendary figure with 33 steps could live a long time, but this old man was already at the end of his life. This is the previous owner of the martial arts school. He lost his life force after an accident while traveling, and this is what he looks like now, the local thug explained. The demon stepped forward to pay his respects, then asked routinely, "Old master, do you know the information about the pillar I'm looking for?" The demon had given up hope on the old man's answer, so he had no expectations. 4 enormous black pillars pierce the sky, incredibly sturdy, and cannot be damaged by any means, not even leaving a mark, the old curator explained in detail. The demon was taken aback. It did seem somewhat plausible, and it didn't appear to be nonsense. Thinking this way, a glimmer of hope ignited in the demon's heart, but only a glimmer. "Then could you draw it out so I can see it?" the demon asked. "I had already drawn these 4 pillars before you came. I will never forget them in my life," the old curator said through gritted teeth. Immediately, someone handed the painting to the demon. The demon's eyes widened at the sight. The 4 demon pillars in the painting are so lifelike. They are exactly what the demon is looking for. After being disappointed more than 100 times, the demon finally saw hope and almost cried. But before he could cry, Xiandao's voice rang in his mind. The demon shuddered and immediately said in his mind, "Master, there are clues about the demon god pillar. There are already some clues. You can wait, I will be able to confirm the location soon." "Okay." Xiandao's calm voice rang out, then he ended the call and waited silently.